one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering subreddits for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, prospectors, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast, the podcast where we delve into the salty minds of the Magic the Gathering community, find the saltiest posts, those salty stories, those stories about playgroup dynamics, the interesting things we want to talk about, put them in our minecart, bring them back up to you, our dear prospectors at home. As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Mike and Tony. Say hey, guys.
What up?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
High energy, Mike.
Yeah, I'm actually still just sorry. I'm still upset about this whole phone situation.
Tell us about it. What happened?
My phone broke today, and I use it for two-factor auth for everything, and so I couldn't do like anything today. And then I went to set up my new phone because I had to go get a new phone, and it needed me like to access my backup stuff. I needed a password that is saved in my Google account, and I have a Google phone, so that's where I had all my passwords saved.
Oh, no.
So it's like I couldn't even access all my backups. I like just got it figured out, and I was moving apps around. That's why the energy was low. I'm sorry, everybody.
When I went to Italy,
Humble brag.
like last year, I left my phone and I went to log in to like my Gmail to try and get like information, because I also had like ticket information for us and like flight information, all this shit, right? And like you go to log in and they're like, oh, you can only log in if you can send a thing from your phone. And I'm like, I don't fucking have my phone, man.
Yeah.
Like, how do you want me to do this? And then you go through all these different hoops and you're like, God, my life is just there in the palm of my hand, you know?
Well, that's kind of what happened. I like middle of the day, I kind of noticed the screen wasn't working. I was like, that's fine. Like I'll be able to get through the day and then go fix it or something. And then like immediately after that, I needed to log on to something for work. I immediately realized, oh, I need my phone to do anything for my job. Like, so this is not an issue I can delay even 4 hours. This is an issue I need to address right now.
Yeah, that's more brutal that it's used for everything for work too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big is your company? You don't have like one IT person that can like make something work?
They could have, like, I could have reached out and done something, but it would have taken like an hour anyway to like open a ticket and wait for them to do a thing. And I was like, I need to fix a phone at some point anyway. I just got to go do this.
Yeah.
Stupid technology, man.
Yeah, hate it. Hate how
Fucking
useful
horrible.
it is for
Well,
everything.
what new phone did you get?
That's the funny part. I didn't get a new phone. I did get a new phone, but it's the exact same
New
make
to
and
you.
model. Yeah. It is a physically new phone, but it is the exact same model as I had before. So
That's
just a
actually what I
pix-
did with the last phone I got.
Are you fucking kidding me, Tony? Just before
No.
this call, you told us that you have an iPhone 6, and I wasn't going to put you on blast. But
It's not an iPhone 6,
literally-
it's an iPhone 6S,
Oh
bro.
my God.
Big
The
difference.
The S stands for scrub.
But it, like, factually, prior to the phone I have now, that is also what I
And
had.
you chose to buy another one.
Well, because it's been a while, friends. Like,
Oh, God.
It's been a while.
yeah. I got a 6S probably, like, I got it, like, just after I got back from Saudi, I think.
Mm.
And at the time, I think we were on like 8 or 9 probably. But I liked the small phone, like having a small one. So I bought like a refurbished one. Actually, I think this is my third
Isn't that
one.
an option now? Can't you get like the purposefully small phone? They have like...
Well, they have gone back to that. You can get smaller ones again.
Yeah.
Look, stop yelling at me. I'll do what I want with my technology. It's one of those silly things where it is something I use every single day, and I can afford a phone. So like I should just get a real new one, but I just haven't, because my current one is also definitely dying. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm
earlier you were
unplugged, I
so
can't
like,
fucking
oh,
function.
It works. It's fine. The truth comes out.
But it
Doesn't
needs to be
work at all.
plugged in all the time.
Well, yeah, I'm literally plugged in right now. Like it's this game of I live that remote life, so it hasn't been painful enough,
Yeah.
you know. As
Figured
soon as
out.
it becomes pain, like every time I go to Boston and I'm like, fuck, it's always dead, and I need to Uber somewhere, and like it's the whole fucking thing. I'm like, God damn it.
Man,
Yeah.
rip. You know what I want to talk about? I had this earlier and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to save it for the podcast because we had that special episode way back when where we talked about it way too much and it made it into the episode title, which you might have heard that we talked about recently in episode 50. And I wanted to bring it back up again. Bacon.
Bacon.
What?
Guys,
Is this how you're transitioning to salt? You just want to talk about bacon again?
no, actually.
Oh, okay.
But guys, I have moved into a very weird and controversial camp for bacon preparation.
There's only one right answer, so I'm interested to hear what you say
Well,
right now.
This is a wrong answer, but I'm going to stand by it. And I've started microwaving my bacon.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's not a wrong answer.
Gross.
It is an acceptable answer.
Dude, it's so
Bacon
good.
preparation is all about scale. It's not about anything else.
It's about how much bacon are
If
you
you
trying
need
to
a pound
make?
of bacon, you're making that in the oven. If you need half, you could probably do that on a frying pan. If you want like 3 slices,
Yeah.
microwave all day.
Does it come out crispy?
Yes.
Yeah, it gets crispy.
Oh my god, no way. Mike was just like,
You
and
can,
Sam
you
was-
can with certain bacon, you can get microwave bacon to come like fake bacon level of crispy. Like
Yeah, it's not going to be like burnt crunchy, but it's like it's
when I
flavorful,
pick up
man.
the
It's good.
bacon, it shouldn't even move. It should be it's like
Yeah,
it's like a
stiff.
ruler
I want it
basically
stiff.
now.
Yeah,
Like
you,
okay,
can get,
well,
you can get that.
you can get there. You can get there.
You can
in the
get that.
microwave.
You just have to put a lot of paper towels around it.
Yeah,
Soaks
yeah.
up all the grease.
But
So-
dude,
my
it's
God.
like kind of revolutionary because I already talked about how I enjoy bacon, but I hate cooking it because it fills your house with bacon stink. And the gas that comes off bacon is like this oily fume that sticks to everything. And then your pan is just filled with bacon grease, which is nice. You can cook with it later and shit. But you have to like harvest it. You got to clean it. I'm a cast iron man. So cleaning bacon grease off a cast iron pan is a pain in the ass anyways in a soapless environment. But dude, fucking shove that shit in the microwave for a few minutes. It's like done before my toast is toasted in the morning. It's fucking great.
I feel like I have never done this, nor do I. Well, it lies. I have definitely seen this done before in my house. My grandmother did it a long, long time ago, and it did not come out nice.
Didn't your grandma also play Game Boy Advance? So she sounds fucking cool as shit.
She did.
True.
It wasn't Game Boy Advance. It was the whatever the one was like just after that. Was that
The DS?
the DS?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had the like brain age thing.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
So she made it like that. I relatively recently got turned on to the concept of doing it in the oven because they're like it's just like quicker, faster. Well, not necessarily quicker,
Not
but
quicker,
like
but
it comes out
efficient.
crispy, perfect every fucking time.
Efficient.
And like it definitely does. And I made this is funny because I don't get bacon that much, but just the other day I was like, Stephanie, you're at the fancy store right now, and I need you to get me like a slab of bacon from that place. It's very like fucking
Bougie.
yeah, it's like grass fed pigs. Like they're
Hell yeah.
fucking vibing. They're feeling it. Tastes the same as regular bacon, but like
I
you
don't
know.
think they're feeling it anymore, Tony.
don't know.
But either way, I've got it specifically for a BLT. Like every once in a while, like a
Ooh.
Oh,
really
yeah.
good BLT just feels like next level.
Put some mayo on that bitch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the
Hell
only
yeah.
way to do it.
Oh yeah.
And my bacon was crispy as fuck.
The slightly too much bacon move is to have a breakfast sandwich in the morning or like, eggs and bacon and toast.
Yeah.
And then like 4 hours later, have a BLT for lunch.
Hell yeah. You know what the ultimate BLT hack is? The best tip I can give you for a BLT: salt and pepper your tomato.
Oh yeah.
Mika is going to love that because a diehard, you must salt and pepper your tomato
You have
all
to,
the
dude.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, why are you even eating the tomato? You know?
I just like tomato.
I will say if you have a really good tomato,
Yeah.
it can make a difference. But I'm talking like next tier. This isn't just like I picked up a good looking one. Like you know, you gotta have some fresh ass tomatoes off of
Some
somebody's like
heirloom
fucking
shit.
farm.
Some
I'm
heirloom
also
shit.
Yes.
cutting like
Yes.
thick slices of tomato.
Oh,
like
thick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm
Like
yeah,
three
like a-
quarters of
like
an
a
inch to an
steak.
inch at least.
Yeah,
It is a
it's
tomato
steak.
steak.
Yeah. It definitely needs to be thick.
Yeah, it's a slab.
Otherwise, why are you even fucking doing it? Like,
Yeah.
man, I will say that BLT like hit
Dude,
the fucking spot.
I
I
want
haven't
one
had
right
one in
now,
so
man.
long.
Yeah, should we go?
Yeah, we
Should we
should-
take a quick break and go
Can
make
we
some
have a little
BLT?
BLT break? Well, so like a few weeks back, my mom, like we did like an omelet kind of day, and my parents came up and we like all had breakfast and stuff. And my mom, who is amazing, love my mom, and she's like such an amazing cook, big into food, why I'm so passionate about food and all that kind of stuff. She like was planning to cook for like 10 people and make a ton of omelets. And then, you know, some people couldn't make it and stuff. So from my wife's family. So it was just like, you know, 6 of us or whatever. So, but she planned for 10, and being the woman she is, over planned. So she brought
Yeah.
like,
So she really
4
planned for like 30.
yeah, she brought like 4 packs of bacon.
Yeah.
So, and we ate 1. So I have like 3 entire things of bacon. And the other day I was like, like I kind of want some bacon. Oh, you can microwave it? I read that on the package. Like, yeah, fuck it. Let's fucking see what happens. It was good, dude. It was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can make like 3 slices. It's
Yeah, you
broken.
can be like, just give me 1. You know, I made like 6, but still.
yeah. But you can. You wouldn't, but you can.
But I
Yeah.
cut the pack in half, so they're like 6 half slices. You know what I mean? Like I'm not
Mhm.
doing like full like 10-inch strips. I manage it.
I feel like the problem is they start at 10-inch in the oven and they definitely shrink down to like,
Yeah, there's
You
some
know.
shrinkage there. The thing that the oven scares me with is that like a few years ago, one of my coworkers was doing bacon in the oven, like a shit ton of bacon in the oven, and he grabbed the pan and the pan tilted ever so slightly, and he got like hot bacon grease all
Oof.
over his hand and was just like horribly burned. And I was like, well, never doing that shit.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's
sounds like a
terrifying.
scrub, but
Yeah,
you gotta
I
be-
mean,
you gotta be
it's user
prepared for
error.
that shit. Like,
It's definitely user error.
because it will generate a fuckload of grease for sure. Like
Well,
the same
that's the
amount of
problem.
grease
The
that is
grease
like going in the
management.
pan is like going in the fucking oven. Like,
Grease
be ready
management
for
has
it.
always been the worst part of cooking and eating bacon. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
just get so much.
In the oven, you can pull off a tinfoil layer that collects it all, and then you just take that out and toss it
Yeah,
immediately.
like let it cool and trash it, or throw some
Yeah,
ice on it and throw it in the
Yeah.
trash.
Yeah.
And I'm always one of those people that's like, let me collect the grease and I'll use it to cook later.
Yeah.
And then like 6 months later, I'm like, well, I'll throw out this old grease now.
I did just get some duck though, and so I think I'm gonna make
Dude.
that. And when I make that, I want to make sure to collect that bacon grease because that actually is like some
Yeah, that
gold
duck
shit.
fat,
Like you
dude.
got to keep that. Yeah,
That shit is gold. That's amazing.
yeah. Make some like sick hash brown kind of
Is it
shit
kinda-
afterwards.
Is it kind of salty?
Ooh.
Should we? I know we've been talking about bacon a lot, but should
Actually, I
we
would
talk about
prefer to keep talking about food and cooking.
I'm out, Tony. I'm out. You make me stay for another late night episode. You talk about bacon for half an hour.
Man, it's a good thing you said something because I literally was like, I wasn't even remotely close to going back.
Yeah, me too. I was about to tell you guys about the salsa I've been making, but I guess
No,
we'll,
no. Tell us about that
guess
next
we'll
week.
save that for later. It's really good though. I can't stop eating it, and my body is in pain from the heat.
Is there cilantro in it?
Oh,
Do you salt the tomatoes? We gotta go. We
I
gotta
do
get
put a
back
lot of
to
salt
it.
in there.
But
yeah.
Sam, what salt?
Salt is frustrations in the game. Look at us go, folks. Seamless transition. Salt is when you sit down at a table and you're playing a game of Magic, and you're like, precons, everybody, precons, and someone's like, yeah, I have a slightly modified precon, and then you realize that they've modified their precon with Rhystic Study, Smothering Tithe, Demonic Consultation, Thassa's Oracle, all the free counter spells, and they're just wrecking you up and down. And you're like, this isn't really a modified precon anymore. Salt is when you come up with a new brew and you sit down to play it and you realize that it totally sucks and you actually hate that type of deck and you don't know why you built it. Salt is a lot of different things in the game. And it really stems from interactions in the game that maybe are messing up stuff that you're doing that you didn't expect. Salt can be little sprinkles of it, little grains, or it can be big salt and you're getting pissed and you're throwing a deck across the room. Hopefully you're not doing
Hopefully
that.
not.
But
That's
some
a
people
big
do
salt.
That. Yeah, that's a big
There
salt.
can be whittle salt and big salt.
Oh, Tony.
Tony. Come on, man.
What
That
was that?
like fine.
What was the whittle?
What was that?
I thought that was fine.
It's a late episode, folks. Yeah, so all those things are salt. And we talk about salt so we can learn a little bit about it, understand it a little bit better, and maybe not be salty ourselves. We're still working on that, but I keep hearing that it's working great for the listeners out there.
Slay. Like I've said in the past, we're getting worse, but if y'all are getting better, cool.
I will say we did have some pretty awesome and salt-free games the other day, and Tony couldn't make it to that game night.
Oh, fuck off.
But you were missed, Tony. All right. Well, you guys want to get into our first story here?
Let's do it.
Before we do that, can you talk about the salsa real quick?
Oh my God.
Dude, it's really good. I start with some jalapenos and I grill them.
Oh,
I grill the jalapenos.
that actually is next level.
I'm just going to put little pieces of the salsa ingredients.
Well, you have to build it into each post.
Yeah. I'll just
Oh
give
my
you
God.
a tiny little bit over the course of this whole thing.
Enjoy the edit.
Oh, it'll be part of your, like, what the salt rating is. It just has to describe a different part of the recipe each way. All right, I'm ready for the story we're about to go on.
So this is an interesting one. So I will say that generally speaking, here at the Howling Salt Mine, we're very much like your local supermarket. It's a first in, first out system. You know, we got to get that old milk off the shelves so we can put the new milk in down the road. Every once in a while, a story comes through where it's kind of fun to jump the gun a little bit and move that to the front of the pack here. And we happen to have one of those stories today. So if y'all will remember, we had a special salty card last week, a very, very interesting salty card that may appear in this story. So this story comes to us from Twitter, where we're starting to get some stories now, and comes to us from our friend Locum. And the story goes: I was playing a game against 3 friends on Untap. I was playing a group hug deck with K&T at the helm against a friend's Emrakul deck. I can't remember what the other 2 decks were. I had a turn 1 burgeoning and started out-ramping them all. I ended up casting Divine Intervention.
Ooh.
Our salty card from last week. The player after me was not able to do anything about the Divine Intervention and asked the table if anybody had anything that could deal with it. Only I said, I sort of do, which led the Emrakul player to choosing me with their commander to take over their next turn. When they started taking my turn, obviously they had to remove the counter from Divine Intervention and realized that if they passed the turn to me, I would also get the upkeep and remove the last counter, resulting in the draw. In realizing this, they look at the card in my hand, the answer that I had to Divine Intervention, and said, sorry, guys. The card in my hand was Fractured Identity. This led to 3 copies of Divine Intervention hitting the board. I just feel like, for shits and giggles, someone should sleeve this card up in a CDH deck, bring it to tournaments purely to draw games. I don't know who would helm the deck, though. Maybe a certain Selesnya commander with a tap ability that generates mana based on parlay.
I guess there's a new build for Silvala.
Would win as many games.
So if you guys remembered into last week, our salty card of the week was Divine Intervention. It's an enchantment that comes into play with 2 counters on it. During your upkeep, you remove 1. When the last 1 is removed, the game ends in a draw. The card Fractured Identity costs 3, 1 white and 1 blue. It's sorcery. It says exile target non-land permanent. Each player other than its controller creates a token that's a copy of it. So you stop the time bomb of the 1 Divine Intervention only to gain 3 more.
The person was very right when they were like, I sorta have an answer.
Yeah.
You definitely sorta had an answer.
You can indeed remove that Divine Intervention.
Yeah, you can stop it from going off in 2 turns, but it's still going to go off. I just feel like I had to read that one. Just so interesting. Divine intervention comes up so rarely. I've never ever seen it at the table. And here we have it in a salty story.
I also don't see fractured identity enough. That's a really interesting card. I like that.
Is that a Zedru card?
No.
Yeah, because you're not giving the copy.
You're just getting a token. It's not. You have to be moving cards around for Zedru, unfortunately. I mean, it could be thematically, but it's not really mechanically.
Yeah, just to like give something shitty to everybody instead of actually physically passing it to some person. It's a really interesting card, though. 5 mana, though, is a lot for a removal piece like that.
For a removal piece that's then giving your opponents like more of it, unless you've got a weird reverse kind of deck where you're trying to like get rid of stuff. Like it's some like paint effect on your board that you're like exiling your own thing and then giving everybody else one.
Well, OP here is playing a Kineos and Tiro of Melodis deck that's K&T, which is the 4-color Sands Black kind of group hug commander. So I think in a group hug deck, it does make sense because you can get like a really interesting creature out or something like that and give it to everybody else.
Right.
Perplexing Chimera.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus. How could you?
That's a fucking war crime,
How
dude.
dare you?
That would be so awful. Oh my God. Now I kind of want to do that in a deck.
No.
That is brutal.
That should be the divine intervention deck that you make. It should be all shit like that.
And then you cast divine intervention and someone else takes it and you don't care because it still is going to pop off with a draw.
Literally.
Yeah, weird. I never really see that card. Fractured Identity.
I mean, obviously, we talked about it a bunch in the last episode, but I think the main reason it tends to generate salt is because you're playing a different game than everyone else.
Yeah, I agree. There's also an interesting story about like giving partial information. Like it kind of feels to me, it's not like a deal was made or anything, but sometimes you have these deals where people go by letter of the law and they're like, well, here's the deal. And you didn't come up with great terms and I'm going to come through with a loophole on it. And it's sort of like, yeah, I can remove it, but you won't like what happens.
Yeah, usually this is like, I'll remove that if you don't swing at me this turn. And then they don't swing and then it's a board wipe that happens to remove like the thing that you said. But I do kind of like that this Emrakul player like gets to discover this moment, be like, well, I kind of can. What do you think? And it's like, oh, you kind of can't too.
Yeah.
Man, I've definitely had some moments like that, not with an Emrakul, but with like a Gitaxian probe in a CDH game. I remember this one game specifically where I used Gitaxian probe on Mike and I saw his hand and I just realized how absolutely fucked we were because he had like a turn 2 win. And I was like, cool. Well, this has been a good game.
I think I lost that one though.
Knowledge.
Well, what do we think about the salt rating here?
I mean, I think it's perfectly balanced. I think it's a good draw. It's a nice even amount of salt spread all around the table precisely evenly.
Yeah, I agree. It's really like a perfectly balanced salt, much like the salt in the salsa that I make, which includes a quick pickle onion, half red, half white, a brief quick pickle with some white wine vinegar, and a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar.
That's a good start to a salsa. I like that. Just like this was.
Don't forget the grilled jalapenos.
Yeah. All right, tight. Hit us with another one.
It's going to be a very weird episode.
Dude,
if I keep doing
good luck editing that.
All right, that was a nice quick first one. Let's move on to our next story, guys. This next story comes to us from Nick.
Nickelodeon.
And this is a Reddit DM. Is this Nick's like secret username on Reddit?
That'd be hilarious.
That would be great.
Also, what a throwback.
Nickelodeon.
Is there still a song?
Oh, I'm sure there isn't.
That was in the day when there was like what was the competition show where they climbed up the mountain at the end?
Dude, fucking Global Guts? Is that what you're talking about? Where they climbed the aggro crag to get a piece of that radical rock? Throw it to Mo. And Mike O'Malley hosted it. Fuck yeah, dude. That show slapped. You kidding
that
me?
and like Legends of the Hidden Temple and shit.
Oh
Like,
my God, dude.
that was
yeah.
that Nick kind of
What
time.
about like Family Double Dare? That was a fucking great show.
That was another good one too.
But they would like jump in a big pool of slime and reach up the nose and get like a flag. It was so
Yes.
good.
Oh man, and was that brain thing on the same channel too? You know when they rolled out the big head? That was like Kid Nick or something maybe.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about with that brain that they rolled out, and it was like word puzzles.
oh my God. It was, I don't remember the name of the show, but it was hosted by Summer Sanders.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
And it had like the cast of all that on it. And what was it? It was like some kind of guessing show.
they would get like slimed.
Yeah, people get slimed. Man,
Dude, I can see the fucking brain. I just can't think
people
of the
at
name
home
of the
are
show.
like screaming at their iPods right now. Oh my God, what the fuck was it?
I have no idea. These are wild conversations to hear with no context.
I'm sorry, everyone who's Mike's
Everybody
age or
at
younger.
Mike with the name of
Figure
the
it
show
out. It was
right now.
Figure It Out.
Figure it out. That is
Oh my God.
literally exactly what it was.
Hilarious. I feel like I just said I can't even figure it out.
If you're in the Discord and you got that before we got to this point, at me right now.
Yeah. Yep. At Tony right now.
Anyway,
All right, well,
let's get to the post.
Let's get into this. This one's from Nick. And the post goes, "Hey guys, love the show. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I just finished listening to episode 43, where you told a story from a listener about playing a new dragons deck, then having all of their dragons stolen by Captain Ingathrod. This caught my ear because initially I grew concerned that maybe I was the player on the other end of the story.
Lol.
My friend had just finished brewing his new Tiamat deck and sat down at the table declaring it as battle cruiser level, or as Nick calls it, T-ball magic. A little joke for the patrons with Nick's giant rant that he posted. Maybe we'll read it one day. I had pulled out my Captain Ingathrod deck, maybe 15 cards changed from the precon. As the game got going, I hit him first with a horror, and he ended up milling an ancient brass dragon. So, of course, I picked that to take with Captain Ingathrod. You can probably see where this is going. The next turn, I got to hit him with all of my horrors and milled all of his crazy dragons, like more ancient dragons and Scion of Draco. I rolled big on the d20 for ancient brass dragon, and from there, I ran away with the game. Playing with all of his new dragon cards delighted me. Luckily, that was the first game of the night, and he ended up winning the other two that we got to play, albeit with different decks. I was comforted when I heard that the story in episode 43 was about a Jund Dragons deck, so I was in the clear there. Since then, my friend has proceeded to usually win with his Tiamat deck by getting Cloth, Unrivaled Ancient, Goldspan Dragon, and Ancient Copper Dragon with Tiamat's ability. So I don't feel too bad about what happened in that first game. Thanks for the show, Nick.
I think the thing I love the most is like the internet is so vast, but to have moments like that where you can be like, oh my God, was this me? Is like a fun thing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I do really enjoy that too. I know for a fact that there were a couple people that listened to this show that were sent an episode from a friend who submitted a salty story, and that salty story was about them being kind of like a dickhead in a game. And they sent it to them to be like, hey, like you better change your behavior. And then they listened to it and enjoyed it and stuck with us. But we've gotten a few like fan mail messages from people about that.
It's fucking amazing.
You know, back in episode 43, we did talk about Captain Ingathrod, but let's just do it one more time here for context. So Captain Ingathrod, this is from the D&D sets, that D&D Commander set. He is 3 and a blue and a black, legendary creature, pirate, horror. Horrors you control have menace. Whenever a horror you control deals combat damage to a player, that player mills that many cards. At the beginning of your end step, choose target artifact or creature card in opponent's graveyard that was put there from their library this turn. Put it onto the battlefield under your control. And it's a 3/6. I feel like I had this reaction the first time I read this, but this card's like really good.
Yeah, it really is.
It definitely is.
It's especially good when you have someone at your table running huge fatties that you can reanimate.
Yeah, dude.
In Commander, you almost always are. Like, unless you're up against like a one spell slinger deck and a couple like white weenies decks. Like there's usually someone out there that's got just like massive creatures to hit.
Yeah.
And even with like the white weenie deck or like an elf ball deck, for example, if you just keep hitting that person, you'll eventually build some synergy with their stuff on your board.
Right.
You know?
Even I'm not gonna lie, even with a white weenie deck, if I hit like a creature with nothing but flavor text, I'd be like, I'm taking that. Like that's what's coming out on the board right now. Like there's so much potential for power and for memes that like it's just like I love it.
You always take it. I mean, this is just an interesting commander. It gives evasion with menace. It is a horror itself.
But it's also artifacts, right? It said artifacts too.
Yeah, so I mean, you can just
take
ramp
fucking
rocks, dude.
Mana rocks, like what the fuck ever else you want.
Yeah,
the one ring from somebody's, like
the one ring, and then it's yours forever.
One ring, and then it, oh my god!
And you're playing for ante, so you get to keep it permanently.
Basically for ante.
And you're like, sorry, Post Malone, this is mine now.
Yeah.
I like that there's kind of this secret salt about this of like Tiamat too, of him at the end as like kind of a footnote being like, and also that person keeps winning now, so
yes, I don't even feel bad.
I'm glad I did it. It's like I love that. I there's a friend that I play with, and she's got a Tiamat deck, and she gets the same 5 things, and it's always like, okay, here comes cloth. It is always cloth.
What does cloth do?
Cloth makes it so that when you deal damage, you get that much mana. I think it's kind of like a Neheb. I could be wrong.
What?
Let's see.
Oh yeah. Cloth is 5, a red and a green for legendary dragon. Whenever
attacks.
Cloth unrivaled ancient attacks, add X mana in any combination of colors where X is the total power of attacking creatures.
It's ridiculous.
Spend this mana only to cast spells. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end.
Oh, but you can only cast spells, and that doesn't win you the game.
Oh,
so.
only all of the dragons that you got.
Yeah.
So you play Tiamat, then the next turn you definitely have enough mana to play Cloth, and you have a Tiamat on board. So you're immediately swinging for, what is it? That's immediately 14 mana right there, right?
Yeah.
To drop 2 other things like right away.
It's interesting that both of these commanders in the story that seem like real powerhouses came from the D&D sets.
It's true.
Also, I do love that this is a confessional about somebody playing a deck for the first time and getting like their shit kicked in a little bit. Because I feel like we've all been in that position before where you're like, yeah, my new deck, and you bring it to the table and then someone just like wrecks you. You're like, I fucking hate this deck.
Yeah.
Yep. This sucks.
Feel that.
Hey, they kept playing through it, so
yeah,
they already jumped that one hurdle.
Yeah, and I do think that's like a give and take with some decks. You're gonna have games where your deck totally gets crushed. You're gonna have other games where the other deck crushes you. It's kind of fair, especially with decks that steal stuff from your opponents. Like you're bound to eventually get crushed by the thing that you stole at one time.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Kind of poetic justice in both directions.
What do we think about the salt rating on this one?
This is pretty low salt, I think. Like it's a mirror of a different one that we've had. So whatever we said on that, see above.
So lazy. Just phoning it in.
Just take that out.
I think that this is, it's not super high salt. It sounds like that second player, the Tiamat player, had like a pretty great game that evening anyways, well, with other decks. But if I was that Tiamat player coming to the table with a fresh deck, I'd be feeling pretty salty about this.
What kind of fresh ingredients would you be incorporating into a salsa if you made one?
What an interesting metaphor, Tony. But to think about that, I would feel exactly like a grilled red bell pepper. Yeah, just with a little bit of char on it and some olive oil and salt and pepper before you grill it. Yeah, I'd feel just like that.
Interesting. And do you grill it down to like it's like grilled, or is it like a quick char, or is it like grill it down?
It's like a medium char until it's softened a little bit.
Gotcha. A lot of grilled stuff going on in the salsa. I like it.
It's like a grilled salsa, man. Like that's why that was the inspiration.
Interesting. All right. I guess we probably need one more in order to round out the salsa.
Well, what do you guys feel about the salt rating on this?
We already got rating.
I already phoned it in. You're not going to get a better answer out of me. So,
alrighty, let's get like a really salty one. I feel like these have been like floaters.
Yeah, they've been pretty light. Need something to round out a recipe, you know, that kind of a salt.
It's like the stupidest bit. I love it. It's so stupid. Let's round this out with a Patreon post. And this one is actually two small stories in one. We're moving through these a little bit quick. Let's give the folks a fourth. Why not?
I'm ready.
So these come to us from one of our patrons, Monster Doobie.
Hey. You know, when you say it out loud, it's so different.
Yeah, it really is. Thanks, Monster Doobie.
I've like read it in my head so many times.
Yeah, but when you really say it. And the story goes, Howling Salt Mine crew, good afternoon. I have been listening since episode 1, day 1. Thank you for all the laughs.
Baby, let's fucking go. That's true 30% right there.
Yeah, dude. He definitely is. That's fucking amazing.
I want to see a fucking timestamp. Post that shit in the Discord.
Oh, man. Give us the proof.
Anybody can fucking say it.
So this first story is titled, There Are No Sideboards in EDH. And the story goes, I was playing with a group of 4 friends in our weekly pod, and one of them had been going off all night no matter which deck he played. He had been drawing perfect hands and pub stomping us. At the end of the 3rd game, the pub stomper declares, next I am going to play my zombie deck. Its fastest deck with multiple infinite combos. I had finally had enough and brought out my most powerful non-CDH deck, and I began switching out a couple cards. The pub stomper sees this and says, there's no sideboard in Commander. I state, I am just upgrading. You haven't lost a game all night. He says, that's a sideboard. I state, like an asshole, we are allowed to upgrade during the week. When is the cutoff for upgrading? An hour before the game starts? 10 minutes? 30 seconds? There's no cutoff for upgrading. Frustrated, he allowed it to continue. I proceed to slot Drought into my Hinata deck, along with a few other evil cards. It doesn't matter, though, because I draw Drought in my opening hand, and I proceed to laugh evilly while the black zombie pub stomper can't do anything. Who won? It does not matter. Not the zombie deck. What is Drought? We got to look that up.
I don't know. I'm looking it up right now.
I am as well.
Oh, what is this weird card? Drought is a 4-mana enchantment, 2, a white and a white. At the beginning of your...
Hang on, give it the respect it's earned. It's from Ice Age, so you got to highlight that at the beginning.
Oh, gosh,
this is a fucking old card.
At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Drought unless you pay 2 white mana. Spells cost an additional... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Spells cost an additional sacrifice a swamp to cast for each black mana symbol in their mana costs. Activated abilities cost an additional sacrifice a swamp to activate for each black mana in their activation costs.
Oh my gosh.
My God, I
that is
read
sideboarding.
Monster Doobie
Sideboarded in.
That was the Oracle text. Like,
yeah, that was the Oracle text.
The original text at some point, because you're just like, what the fuck is this card trying to say?
I'll read it right now. Ready? It says, during your upkeep, pay 2 white mana or destroy Drought before a spell that requires 1 black mana as a part of its casting cost may be cast, or an ability that requires 1 black mana as part of its activation cost may be played. The controller of that spell or ability sacrifices a swamp for each black mana in the spell's casting cost or the ability's activation cost.
I don't know if it was cleaner.
It's actually a really good thing that got oracled, because the original text uses the black mana symbol for the costs. So I think that would make it Orzhov color identity in Commander, and you wouldn't be able to play it in like mono white decks.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, that is sideboarding for sure.
That is sideboarding.
Monster
That is
Doobie,
sideboarding.
we love you, dude. We love our day ones, but that is sideboarding for sure.
I mean, what's hilarious is that you bullied this person into letting you do it.
Yeah.
And then also no one at the table disagreed. Because nobody else
don't
was
disagree.
like, no.
I don't disagree. That's the thing. Like, it is sideboarding, but it's also like the point does stand of like when's cut off. Like, there's no point where you have to submit a deck list. Like, you can mess around with your deck whenever you want. I think the one piece that you shouldn't really do and that makes it clear that this is like targeted boarding in is doing it after a commander has been announced. Like,
Yeah.
because as soon as you can put in color hate, you're doing something really ridiculous.
It's interesting because this story starts as a salty story and ends as a salty confessional in a way.
Yeah.
Where Monster Doobie was like, I'm just going to do everything I can to shut out this zombie player. I think in like retrospect, you just got to run with the deck that you have. You know, you can't really be making these sideboard changes. You just got to like pick your best deck and jam it. And hopefully like team up with the other two players at the table and, you know, knock out this zombie deck.
On the flip side, you can totally do this, but then you have to keep running drought for like 5 games after.
Yeah.
And every once in a while be like, oh man, can't believe I drew this completely dead card, but really happy I put it in the deck, definitely overall.
Yeah. Just cast it every once in a while and let it sacrifice and be like, I guess it's not useful in this game.
Oh
man, what a card.
What's like the mini salt rating there?
Dude, it's a maxi salt rating. There's so much
Yeah.
salt here. To be so salted out that you're just like, fuck you, I'm going to be playing this card, and you like jam it in your deck. Like, I wish I could have been there. I mean, Monster Doobie is aware of it. They say, I state like an asshole. We are allowed to upgrade during the week. You know, they know. They're aware of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I've had similar things where like maybe not 30 seconds before the game starts, but like I'll slot in like mostly for me it's a Eldrazi Titan that shuffles when I know there's like a mill thing on the table.
Or like a snow land when you remember you're supposed to be
Or a
able to
snow
tour a
land.
snow land.
Dude, honestly, more that than anything else. Me knowing that I've got no snowlands in my deck, but I have Into the North.
I feel like putting an Eldrazi Titan into your deck before facing mill is also bullshit. And frankly, I think we've had a question like that on our show before in the past where somebody was doing that. Tony.
Well, I did it. I mean, it's not like it didn't fit in the deck at all.
That's the thing. Like,
It fit more than Drought did.
I think the thing is that like when somebody says they're going to play a deck, you know, it's kind of this weird thing because if someone announces they're going to play a deck before you pick yours, you already have too much information. You know what I mean? To like fairly pick a deck.
that is when the ability to change your deck stops. It's when one person announces what they're going to play. You could try and suss it out. You could meta snipe a little bit and be like, well, he played that deck and that deck. Real quick, I'm just going to throw a drought in and then he announces he's going to play zombies. Like that starts to be more okay. But as soon as what commander someone is playing is announced, that's definitely your point. At a minimum of when you have to
Well, that's
kinda
why
put the
I feel like
sideboard down.
what I'd say the difference is like it's like knowing your meta. Like I definitely hear what you're saying. And again, that's why I'm saying like I don't do that 5 seconds before the game starts. Like I probably did it on not Tuesday because we play on Tuesdays. I did it on like
The truth comes out
Sunday, knowing that like maybe it would come up. Right.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I think that's different.
Yeah, that is
Because
different.
that is deck building to your meta. But if Nick is like, I'm playing Bruvac and you're like, let me make one card swap like that. I thought you were saying that.
No, I was saying doing it beforehand, but even still, like to your point, it's hard to not like Nick says, oh, I'm going to play Bruvac, and for me to not then want to pick the deck that I know has like basically a hard counter to it.
Well, my big thing in that situation is when Nick says Bruvac and I want to play Alesha, which is a kind of a reanimator deck. It's like, you know, usually what I'll do is I'll ask, I'll be like, hey, are you okay with me playing this deck? Even if it's like pretty good against yours, I can play something else, but I want to play this right now, and kind of like give it back to your opponent and give them a chance to, you know, sort of say something about it.
Yeah, but that's at the deck level, not at the specific card level.
Yeah.
I think this is the salt of a large open salt flat with a bunch of cracks running through it, much like the art for the card drought. So if you haven't seen the card, definitely go check it out because it's some cool salt flats there with a nice dead fish in the middle of it.
I feel like the salt in this is like a wide open lime that I've cut 2 limes, and it's 2 limes juice that go into the salsa.
No zest,
Nice.
only juice.
No zest. You kidding me? Zest in a
Just
salsa?
checking.
No way.
Some people do that.
Maniacs.
That's the hint of lime.
Just saying.
I don't know.
But
I don't
2
know about
full
that.
limes. That's a lot of lime.
Well, it's 4 jalapenos.
Gotchas.
I mean, I don't de-seed them.
Hey, you gotta keep it raw. Like,
It's fucking hot, dude.
hell yeah. Okay, cool. I think we need one more to finish out the.
Yeah, we do. So the second story from Monster Doobie is titled, Why Would You Counter That? This story involves my weekly pod with 4 good friends. A friend of mine was playing his fast zombie deck with multiple infinite combos. Deja vu.
We know the one.
Yeah. The game was maybe at turn 7 or 8, and the zombie player had exquisite blood out. I saw smiles sneak across his face, and I already knew what was coming. Luckily, I had a counterspell in hand. I kept my poker face on. I was not worried. The zombie player's next turn rolls around, and he predictably plays Sanguine Bond, which is, a combo. Wins you the game, infinite drain, infinite life gain. I boldly state, in response, I will cast this counterspell. Out of nowhere, a third player who is playing an upgraded Spirit Token Precon states, I will counter your counter.
What?
I was flabbergasted. I say, why? That is his infinite combo. He wins the game now. His response was, I'd just like to see you salty.
Oh my God.
That was the first time he had done that, but it was not the last.
Wow.
Oh my God, dude.
That is like, we've been talking a lot
Chaos.
about divine intervention these days. That is a lot like that. It's like, I'm sure I'm not getting the win, but I'm deciding that the game is about to end right now.
It's just like the pure chaos play. Like someone is doing that just to fuck with you. I mean, they said it. They're like, I just want to see you squirm and get salty. But that is just like pure chaos. I mean, maybe they had such a shitty board state that they wanted the game to be over, which I do understand. Like at that point, it's like, please, someone just end it.
I gotta say, I'm really grateful. Like neither of you two or Nick are like this kind of complete chaos plays. Like we get an element of chaos plays like this, but never to this
Yeah,
degree.
not to that degree.
Yeah, that would make me go ballistic. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on the board state. Like, I think sometimes those like silly, goofy plays when you're chilling with friends can be kind of funny. But man, if that happens and like I was about to win on the next turn or something like that, I'd be pretty frustrated. And I think it depends on the other player's board state too. The responder, the other counterer. What do they have going on? Are they just doing this pure chaos to really piss you off, like they said? Or are they completely down and out of the game, just want it to be done?
I feel like this is a scenario where when the stars align, it can be like funny and like a good time. And like everybody's like, this was hilarious. Like you made the right play. But like the vibe of the night needs to be specific. Like what's happening on the board needs to be like, there's a lot of, again, the stars have to align. I feel like in most scenarios, this would just fucking piss people off. Like they would be fucking mad. Like you're getting the salt and that's what you wanted, but like it's interesting.
Yeah, it's got to be like 6th or 7th game of the night. Everybody is a
of
little
the day.
silly.
Like you were playing all day. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like having a good time. Everybody's like, maybe a little buzz from some people, like having a
People
good
are
time. If that's what you
misplaying.
vibe. Yeah, like all sorts
Things
of
are
crazy
getting
shit
goofy.
going down.
The inside jokes are just constantly rolling, and then someone's like, "Yeah, fucking counter that shit."
And somebody's like, "Oh, what if somebody countered my stopping of this right now?" And you're like, "Actually, fucking counter your bullshit." If they did it with Mana Tide, that also makes it acceptable.
"Oh, that'd be amazing." We even like say that as a joke sometimes, where like something is on the stack that's gonna mess with me, and I'll be like, anyone want to counter that?
Yeah.
You know?
Literally.
Oh man.
Or
that's
or the
funny.
classic, like, okay, player A is countering my thing and I'm in player D spot. It's like, player B, you got anything for that? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop that, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man, love it, Monster Doobie. Thank you for the salt,
What do we think about the last salt rating here?
briny dude. Just like a
Briny.
salty salsa. Yeah, just like a well salted tomato, like on that BLT that goes right in the salsa.
So what is that, one tomato in there?
It's actually two. It's two tomatoes, four
Okay.
jalapenos, half a white onion, half a red onion in a quick pickle with white vinegar, salt, and pepper.
Oh, you're
Then I
recapping all of
drained
it
that.
now.
I'm recapping all of it. I'm just giving you the full salsa recipe. I drained that. Grilled red pepper, grilled jalapenos, and then I blend it all down. Salt, pepper, sugar to taste. Little bit of lime on there.
It sounds like not enough tomato.
2 large tomatoes. I'm talking
Okay,
heirloom, dude.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Big
Somebody had these
baddies.
tomatoes in their family. Like their grandma had these tomatoes. That's how heirloom they are.
Yeah, I see.
Well,
Is it that time of the week?
I think it might be that time of the week, Tony.
But what time is it? I didn't wear a watch today.
It's the time of the week that comes every week. It's the time of the week where we say, Mike,
Mike,
what's the salty card of the week?
Well, Sam, I'm glad you asked. The salty card of the week this week.
Salty card of the week. Salty card of the week.
Every once in a while I hear you start and I definitely think you're going in like such a different direction.
Where do you think I was going with that one?
Was that the Star Spangled Banner? The
I
Salt
literally
Spangled
had a
Banner?
mix of at first I was like, is it the
Salty
Star
card
Spangled
of
Banner?
the
I thought it was.
And then but
Salty card of the week.
have you seen Spam a lot?
Yeah.
The like Where Are You song? I thought it was salt, salt, and I was like, what is happening?
I
'Cause
haven't seen that.
You never do musicals, but anyway.
Well, the salty card of the week this week is Nether Void.
The fuck is that?
It is,
Is that like
Three-
slang for a butt hole?
yeah, it is. That's exactly it.
I'm glad that you clarified it was the whole.
You're going to realize how on the nose you were with that, because this card is a butt. It is 3 and a black for an enchant world. All spells cast are countered unless their casters pay an additional 3 mana.
Oh, dude, fuck
gross.
this fucking card, man.
That stacks at its core. I just assumed you would like it.
Not like this.
Is it blue?
Not like this.
Not like
No,
this.
it's black. It's 3 and a
Oh,
black.
interesting.
It's old. It's an oldie,
From Legends.
but a goodie. Legends.
Jesus, it's fucking $800.
It's $800. So Tony, actually, so Sam, how does this make you feel?
Whoa. That's
Well,
bullshit.
he already kind of reacted.
You're fucking trash.
Whenever a player plays a spell, counter it unless controller pays 3. Dude, that's so fucking rough. That is like really, really brutal. I'm kind of shocked that this exists. I'm trying to think of like which deck would want to play this. Maybe a deck like
Urtai?
Nick's.
Mogus, dude.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe a deck like Nick's Mogus deck that has like group slug effects where you're already kind of in a position where just by passing the turn, you're going to burn people down with damage. And this is cast as like a final lock or something like that.
Yeah.
But man, 3 mana is pretty sizable. If this was 1, that would be super manageable. Hard, but manageable. Even 2, I think, would be manageable. But 3 is just that tipping point for like a recurrent cost where it's very, very hard to play around. And I'm sure whoever is playing this is running it with some other shit to like squeeze your mana base or add on other tax effects. But man, the counter is just brutal.
Yeah. It's like a defense grid on steroids, right? It's
Yeah.
like instead of just just on your turn you can play things for normal. It's all the time. I feel like if you can get, a strong board presence or activated abilities or something, kind of sneak out under this and then slam this down, that's sort of your best opportunity of breaking parity on it.
Or even like a Golgari deck where you drop this out and then you have an Allosaurus Shepherd going, or something like that makes your spells uncounterable, and then you're like casting through it. That could actually be pretty spicy.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it actually sounds pretty.
Think about it.
Pretty dope.
Just got to scrounge
actually.
up $800 real quick to throw this in a deck.
Only €650, dude. That's a deal. Isn't that how money works?
Number smaller.
Yeah,
definitely
smaller
cheaper.
Must be cheaper.
Tony, how does this make you feel?
Well, interestingly enough, I was like, this kind of would fit in your lock a little bit, just to make it a little bit more of a hated deck.
Evil.
And it's also so cheap. It's only 4 mana. There's like another brew going around in the back of my mind that this would also fit into. But in general, I would really fucking hate it if I ever saw it, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if it ever came down, I would be mad at that person. I wouldn't even like high levels of salt would exist. Because it's probably like a slow chokehold kind of move. It's not. I don't win the game when it comes down. I'm almost hoping that you concede because you hate me so much. And there's a non-zero chance. Like, imagine this coming down on turn 4 or turn 3, and then all your opponents are just like, I have to wait 3 turns before I can even cast another spell, basically. Like, that fucking does anything. Like, to remove it, you would like it's so brutal and also kind of hilarious in some ways.
It is kind of hilarious.
I can't believe that it's $800.
It is $800. I'm liking all the mini games of, if you remove it, then the next person actually, like the next people in turn rotation, get a huge advantage because they suddenly are unlocked before everybody else. Like, there's kind of a mini game there. There really are these sneaky ways you could break parity on it, like by playing uncounterable stuff, or even just getting enough of a value engine set up first. Like, if you get a Smothering Tithe out and then play a Nether Void, like, people are going to be so pressed for mana, you're going to like kind of slowly eke out ahead of people.
Yeah.
I kind of like it, guys. Except for $800.
Yeah, the price tag isn't good. It really is that kind of thing where if you have something that's uncounterable, or something like Destiny Spinner, Allosaurus Shepherd, that makes like a class of cards uncounterable for you, then you can break parity on this pretty well. And I do want to call out that I think we're falling into this awful trend with the salty cards, where now when a salty card comes up, we're like, how do we brew this? Where for a long time it was like, fuck this card, people shouldn't play this, and now we're like, yes, how do we do this?
Well, that's because we're getting out of the blue cards and into the interesting ones.
And we wonder why we're getting saltier these days.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
Well, honestly, my mind went a little bit to like CDH of like, because of the uncounterable piece, like,
and because of the price.
Well, yeah.
It's like, I'm only going to play this if I can proxy it, and I'm mostly only proxy in CDH. So
I think the biggest thing is you would never be able to land it probably in CDH.
Yeah, it's unlikely you could.
It would be very hard to get it onto the table.
I also do like that it's a world enchantment. I think that card type, or card super type, I guess, I think is hilarious to have existed, where only one world enchantment can exist at a time. So you can smash away someone's Concordant Crossroads with this.
Boo.
I like that.
My living plane. Boo. And the only other thing I'll say is that I think the artist for this is kind of a piece of shit.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But hey, it's a salty card, man. It's on that 100 list.
That's just another piece of it that makes me salty then.
Yeah.
Respect each other. Not that hard.
And it's $800. Reprinted. Have someone else do the art.
Yes. That is what we need.
Actually, we don't need this in circulation.
We need
I do
more
not want
of
to go
this
against
printed.
this.
We need more of this printed with different art. That would be perfect. Thanks.
Oh man.
Well, where do you guys think this lands? Sam, you want to go first here?
87.
Okay, I guess not.
Yeah, Tony just jumping the
can't let him
gun.
get the
Just
best of me.
jump in the gun.
87. I'm gonna say 84.
Wow.
You fucking cheater.
I feel like for how salty this card made you guys, you really went pretty deep on the top 100
I
cards
went
here.
deep because I was like, who the fuck has even heard of this
Same,
card?
yeah. I
I
took the
the
same
thing in the back
strategy.
of my mind.
This is 39.
What?
What?
Yep.
Who the
Who's
fuck
playing
is this
against
list
this?
consisted of?
Not many people are playing against this because it's only in 1,600 decks on
Wow.
EDH Rec. So not many people are playing against it, but the people that are playing against it, they're really salty about it.
Jeez. Well, let the record reflect that I did win this one because I'm closer.
I was so mad because I knew. I was like, God damn it.
Mike even gave you an opening. Mike was like, Sam, go first. And you were like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
just
but I ain't
gonna
no
get it.
punk ass bitch. I'm just gonna fucking call
Clearly
it as
you
I
are.
see it.
That's very interesting. I will say I'm kind of metagaming because I thought we used a bunch of the top 50 ones. So I've been like going low on the list. Tony, I don't know if you're doing
But now
the same
I might
thing.
be sprinkling them in just when the moment strikes. Just
Yeah.
when I think I've lulled you into a false sense of late 100s. That finally does wrap it up for our salty card of the week.
Well, thanks, Mike. That was a lovely salty card of the week. And thank you to our listeners out there for tuning in to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast. If you want more Howling Salt Mine, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. We have a monthly series called Extra Salt, where we do deck tech sometimes. We answer questions from patrons. We just kind of talk about random stuff. It's a little bit more freeform, gives us a chance to do things that don't really fit into the format of this show. We also have our Stray Grains show on there, which is our short form show. It's all of the tangents and segments that don't make it into the final cut of the show. Hear us talk about video games, talk about our neighbors being weird, talk about other strange things in our lives. It's a really good time. And that Discord, the Discord is great. We've got an awesome community growing there. It's really cool to see that stuff kind of come together. If you have a salty story that you would like featured on the show, email it to us. Send it to our Gmail. We are at thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com, or you can DM it to us on Reddit, Twitter, or Instagram. You can find all of those accounts in our link tree in the show notes below. If you haven't given us a 5-star review already on your podcast app of choice, that really does help us out a lot. It helps increase our visibility in the podcast world, period, and helps more people organically find the show just kind of in the wild. And we also have merchandise. If you want to rep the Howling Salt Mine, we have Howling Salt Mine shirts. You can get hoodies. We even got crop tops. We've got our podcast logo on there, either with the card frame or borderless. And we also have our blue is a trash color for trash people shirt, which people seem to love. And lastly, we have to shout out our amazing podcast artist, JD Burnett, for giving us our beautiful podcast art. If you are ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo. He's a really awesome guy.
10,000 subscribers are buzzed.
Yup. Well, thanks again, everybody. And stay salty. And don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
I'm venting this room because it's fucking hot as shit in here.
Because you've been ripping arse.
Dude, I did. There's a moment where I muted, and it was like cartoonish farts for like 20 seconds. It was like so long. It was very funny.
Oh my God.
Very nice.
Act like a fucking professional.
All right, let me scroll down and find something. I think we should pull something from Patreon.
All these nuts from Patreon.
Oh my God. Much like the art for the card drought. Much like the art for the card drought.
Get it clean one more time.
Scrub.